Hello and welcome. My name is Vanessa Massey and I am the owner and operator of Right Time Resume Service. This video is a part of my basic resume writing video series. It is the third video in that series. The first two videos cover the purpose of a resume and how to gather information for your resume. Also, the second video covers resume types and resume sections. So I encourage that you go watch those two first, otherwise you might be a little bit lost because this video builds on those previous two videos. This video will talk about formatting of a resume, and then the video after this will talk about the content of your resume. So let's get started. The first thing you want to do is keep at least a 1-inch margin unless absolutely necessary. You want to have at least some white space in your resume. It needs to be easily readable, and that means you have to have white space. You can't have all of it cluttered together. If you do need to shorten your margins a little bit, say you have 2 lines on a second page, I wouldn't go any smaller than 0.7, just because you do need that white space at the edge. Also, make sure that your sections are separated by a blank line, and the items inside the sections, for example, work history, each position should be separated by a blank line so that it's easily readable. Use a clean font, Arial or New Times Roman. Those tend to be the accepted standards, but as long as it's a clean, easily readable font, that's fine. No scripty font. It's too hard, particularly if it's an entire page. Make sure your section heads and job titles stand out. What I generally do is capitalize and bold the section headings, but you can just bold them, you can underline them, whatever the case may be, just something to make it stand out from the rest of the information. And then job titles I tend to italicize. In fact, that usually is the only thing I do italicize other than possibly computer programs. So just make them stand out so that the employer's not having to look. Use regular bullet points. Now, by bullet points, I mean with, for example, Word, which is what I generally work in as a word processing program. Their normal bullets are squares or circles, something of that nature. Word will let you use clip art or pictures as bullet points, and while it's a really cool feature, it's not something you want to use in a resume. You want to keep the resume clean and easily readable. If you watch the first video, you know that hiring managers only give resumes 15 to 30 seconds. If it's cluttered up with clip art and fancy bullets, there's a good chance that they will file 13 your resume and all of the work you did on it won't do you any good. Make sure that you list everything in reverse chronological order. If it has a date and there's more than one in the section, it needs to be reverse chronological order. That's education, that's work history, that's volunteer history, whatever the case may be. It needs to all be in reverse chronological order, newest to oldest. Proofread, proofread, proofread. There's a reason I have 4 exclamation marks there. A poorly written resume with misspellings, text spelling, improper use of tenses, all of this will sink a resume before they even look at your credentials. Here's why. 1, in today's world of emails, you have to have good written skills. 2, they will feel that if you put so little effort into a resume, something that you need to get a job, what makes them think that you're going to put any more effort into working at their company? So it's essential that your resume be as close to pristine as humanly possible. Now, that means proper grammar. Now, I don't mean complete sentences. With bullet points, you want quick slices. It's not going to be a full sentence, but You don't want to use text speak. You want to use professional language. It's your words, but they need to be professionally presented. Correct spelling, proper tenses. If you're working somewhere, that position will be present tense. Answer phones, ANSWER. File documents, FILE. If you don't work there anymore, it would be answered phones, ANSWERED, or filed documents, FILED, past tense. If you're not working right now, everything on your resume should be past tense. You should only have one position, if you're currently working, one position on your resume that is present tense, unless, of course, you're working more than one job. There are a couple of neat tricks to proofread your resume. You can read it aloud. What that does is it forces your brain to slow down and see each word. When you read it silently, you read so quickly that your brain knows what words you want to be in there, and your brain will put it in there whether it's there or not. So you'll think it looks good when it doesn't. Reading it aloud slows your brain down, and it enables you to see each word. It also will tell you if it flows well. Another way is we are taught to read left to right, top to bottom. If you proofread by reading bottom to top, right to left, it slows your brains down and you see each individual word. That will tell you if you use the right word. That will tell you if you spelled it correctly. A lot of things. I actually got that trick from a teacher who did proofreading as a second job. Have a clean and concise resume. Limited borders. Now, what I mean by borders is Word will allow you to put a border over the entire page. I'm not a fan of borders. They are too easy to use to clutter up your resume. But if you do use them sparingly and don't get fancy. But as I said, I personally would not recommend them. Don't use any pictures or clip art. The only time, especially if you're thinking of putting your picture on the resume, the only time that would be relevant is if you were a model and you were applying for a modeling position, or an actor or actress and applying for an acting position. Otherwise, in 99% of the positions you will apply for, you do not need to put your your picture on your resume. So, and pictures and clip art, it's too easy to clutter it up. Now, I know I've had people say, but I am a graphic artist. I want to show them what I can do. And I understand that. But actually, as a graphic artist, what you should put your energy into, in my opinion, is creating an online portfolio where an employer can go look at your work the way it was meant to be seen, versus trying to cram something onto a resume. 99% of the time, your resume needs to be very clean, very pristine. Your content is what you want to catch their eye, not a border, particularly if you've cluttered up your resume to the point that they don't want to read the content because it's so cluttered with clip art or borders. That ends this particular video about formatting your resume. If you have any questions or comments, please use the comment box below to reach out to me. I would love to hear what you think about the video series and my other videos as well. There will be one more video in this particular series about content of your resume, but I'll also be uploading some videos with a couple of tools that you can use to keep your job hunt organized. So please, as I said, like the video, like my YouTube page if you're getting good content and relevancy out of what I'm posting. I'd love to hear your comments, suggestions. If you have other videos that you would like to see when it comes to interviewing or other things about your job search, please feel free to leave me a comment and I'll see if I can oblige you. Thank you for watching the video.